Okay, here we are on August 7th. It's a Sunday. I was out here doing a little bit of work yesterday and was doing some work over this past week too in the evening after work, but not having a whole lot of time. Here's where we're at this point. Pulled out, I would say, all of the foam. I think I've pulled out all the foam that has to be pulled out. Exposed the stringers completely. So this is all the way down the starboard side, far into the back. Same on the port side. This section's had black carpet in it, so it's a lot of glue and oily residue. That's why this is all black. The rest was just foam, so cleared out the front. Expose the stringers on each side, so we're all good there. This is a little bit, show some of you who are thinking about doing this. This is how the edges form up. So the original deck came right to here, right level to here. So when I cut, my blade actually went right through here. You can see, let's look up here, you can see some of the old plywood still up here. This is pretty good and dry plywood. And then as I went further back, it was a lot easier to remove because it's pretty rotten. But anyway, so you just set the depth of your blade so that it will go down through, of course, the layer of glass, through your plywood, and then of course not all the way down to your deck. Of course you don't want that, so you just want it to come down far enough to where you can of course start peeling off the deck. In a couple of these sections, like right here, I got nice and close to the actual deck. Other areas I've got quite a lip. For instance, up here I've got almost a pinky's thickness worth of a little bit of rotten wood still there, deck that I'm going to have to cut off before I grind. And then around here I'm going to want to grind this down to where it's flush with the actual hull. In a couple places, well, one place over here you can see where the depth of my saw blade got a little bit too deep, but that's really just a scratch. It's not putting the hull at any risk, I don't think. In the back here, what I decided to do was totally cut away everything that was supporting this. I forget the name of this, but it's just a triangular piece that's also attached to the transom. Just cut everything away underneath it, and then I'll just bring the new deck up to that level and glass it all in back here. This section right here was this was the ski locker here where my foot is, here back of the ski locker, and then I had a bulkhead, and there was a section here that was inaccessible. It was totally covered with the deck, and then you had the engine compartment after this rearmost bulkhead. Now this whole section in here was filled with foam, and which is fine, but this drainage pipe here that came from the back of the ski locker went through tight quarters here, went through the this section and then drained out in the back there. Now this pipe was completely covered, and still is for the most part, in fiberglass, and so any water that got into this section was trapped, and this was the nastiest section for me to clean out in terms of the foam. A lot of trapped water, and really contributed to the rotting that went on in this boat. So I think the important thing here is to make sure that there's a pathway for water that's in any of these enclosed areas, if water does get in the area, for it to flow down and to have a way to get out. Because because the way this was built, there was no way for it to get out. So anyway, next steps for me is to get a complete measurement of my old stringers. Some places it's going to be kind of hard to measure, but I want to at least get a ballpark so that I have some reference information before I start ripping out these stringers. I think that's my next step. And then once I get the stringers completely out in the back and I've completely opened up this rear area, I'll be taking a few more core samples from my transom. I've gotten a couple that are down pretty low there, one on the left and one on the right, but I want to get a couple more core samples, a few more core samples actually, so I can make a decision about what to do with the transom. Really, again, not wanting to take out this this engine, but if that's what has to be done, that's what has to be done. So that's where we are today. Yeah. Anyway, if I have some additional, well, let me tell you, I think for pulling out the foam, what worked really well for me was I used a hand shovel in some of the smaller places. I used this guy in a few of the others, but then for the most part used a flat-edged spade. That got underneath pretty well and pried the foam out pretty good. In some places I had to use a crowbar just because of the tightness of the space, but the hull is pretty flexible. You got to be real careful not to put too much downward pressure on the hull, because it's remarkably flexible and I think thin. It's not as rigid as you might think it would be. So that's where we are. Having some trouble posting to iBoats, so I don't know. I'll get this floated up into YouTube, but I don't know when I'll get some notification posted on iBoats. Website seems to be having some problems the last few days. So that's where we are. I'll try to post some videos showing how I'm going about the work. Otherwise, there's your update.